right, Honorable Joseph Ntakarutimana, Speaker of East African Legislative Assembly, the right Honorable Daniel Evariste Ndayishimiye, President of National Assembly, Honorable members of Bureau of the National Assembly and the Senate of Burundi, Your Excellency Emerald Kanyana, Ombudsman of the Republic of Burundi, Your Excellency Sylvestre Ntibantunganya, former Head of State of Burundi, Honorable Member of the East African Legislative Assembly, Honorables, Member of Burundi National Assembly and the Senate, Honorable Minister of East African Community Affairs, Youth, Sport, and the Culture of the Republic of Burundi, and the Chairperson of the Council of Ministers, Honorable Minister and the Senior Government Officials, Your Excellency Dr. Peter Matuki, Secretary General of East African Community, Your Lordship, the Chief of Justice, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, and the High Commission, and the member of Diplomatic Corps, distinguished invited guests, member of press, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. First of all, let me thank Almighty God who has granted us this beautiful day and who has allowed us this sitting of the East African Legislative Assembly taking place in Bujumbura, the Republic of Burundi. Excellencies, I'm very pleased to address this assembly this morning at the official opening of the third meeting of the first session of the East African Legislative Assembly to take place as from the 26th March to 7 April 2023. On behalf of the people and the government of the Republic of Burundi, and on my own behalf, I cordially welcome you to Bujumbura, economic capital of Burundi. I wish you to feel at home and enjoy the beauty and the hospitality of our country during your stay here in Bujumbura. I wish as well to extend my warm congratulations to the East African Legislative Assembly Speaker and the members upon your election to the 5th East African Legislative Assembly and for the successful swearing in ceremony. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to highly appreciate the role of East African Legislative Assembly in facilitating the integration process and the ownership of decisions taken within the community. The East African Legislative Assembly has a cardinal function in the progress of community objectives that encompasses the legislative, representative, and oversight mandate. In this respect, the achievement made so far would not have been possible without an understanding, vision, and leadership of the members of the East African Legislative Assembly. New developments have emerged since ALA last visited Burundi in 2016 during its plenary. East African Legislative Assembly has grown bigger as South Sudan and DRC became full member of East African Community. In addition to that, other countries have already expressed the will to integrate our community, in particular Somalia, which has already made the official request. We can rejoice that East African community is expanding for the better future of our community. During the last 10 years, tremendous achievements have been made in terms of representing all our people, legislating, planning the East African Community Program and the budget, providing oversight in many East African community activities, as well as strengthening the bonds between the East African Legislative Assembly and the national parliaments of the East African Community partner states. Along the same line, we appreciate that the Honorable Speaker has developed a good work method for implementing the treaty establishing the East African Community. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Since its creation, the East African Community makes constant progress. However, there is still ample room for improvement. There is a need for more commitment and action, for better integration, peace, stability, and especially focusing more on result-based program and management. Many issues are still to be solved and many challenges to be addressed. And as you know, the voice of an elected people's representative plays a key role. We are confident that together we shall bring the East African community closer to the people, and that the East African citizens will definitely, through their direct involvement, benefit from and reap the fruit of regional integration. There are key important areas which East African community can improve to support summit initiative and in timely manner, such as A, the summit initiative on peace and security in DRC, and ultimately in our East African partners. In this regard, I'd like to thank all the head of states of East African community member states who are committed to help East DRC to recover peace. And also I congratulate the former president, Uhuru, who is working very hard so that we can recover peace in East Africa, in East DRC. The summit initiative is B, the summit initiative on alternative funding for the East African community. C, the summit initiative on adopting French and Swahili as the alternate official language of the community alongside English. D, summit initiative on the free movement of goods, services, and people, and work to eliminate or reduce no-tariff barriers which affect trade and leads to trade imbalance amongst our partner states. E, summit initiative on how to enhance cross-border security. F, summit initiative on East African community infrastructures, summit and communicate. J, summit initiative on protection of EAC natural resources, such as minerals, oil, and its transportation within the region. H, summit initiative on poverty eradication, among others. Excellencies, we must work hard to address factors that limit or constrain the construction of a larger East African community internal market in order to increase the share in global trade and economy. This, however, calls for constant oversight of the East African project program and policies. For this to effectively happen and in a timely manner, East African Legislative Assembly, being the elected representatives institution amongst organs and institutions of the community that need to be fully facilitated to play its oversight role for both the Council of Ministers and the Secretary General in order to make sound recommendations. The Council of Ministers should have required resources to allow for the committees to have sufficient days of work and to fund activities such as public hearings, consideration of key integration bills, and sensitization activities. The Council of Ministers and the Secretary General should be available for regular updates on progress made so that the members can make informed recommendations. Outreach and sensitization is important for visibility and better understanding of the community because it takes East African community to citizens, and this can even be more effective and efficient if it is done together with national parliaments. This will definitely require more resources for the East African Legislative Assembly to operate. Honorable speakers, honorable members, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Honored by the last African Union Heads of State Summit to be the champion of the Youth, Peace and Security Program of the African Union, it is appropriate for me to record that we cannot achieve our development objectives without centering our strategies on youth, who constitute the largest part of the population of our driving force. The empowerment of youth impacts the stabilization of peace because there is no peace when there is no bread. We must invest in youth by creating the bright future from now. As a member of East African Legislative Assembly, you are very qualified to help as to sensitize and mobilize East Africans, the regional private sectors, and civil society to work for peace, which is a prerequisite for investment and the socio-economic development. For 2 weeks, this third meeting is the first session of the Fifth East African Legislative Assembly. Will be sitting on a heavy agenda. I am informed that this session shall deliberate both in the plenary and in standing committees. We shall spare no effort to play our role in order to achieve the objectives of East African community. Excellencies, before I conclude, I wish to reiterate Burundi's commitment to East African community for integration for a united, peaceful, and prosperous region. With this remark, it is now my pleasure to now declare that the third meeting of the first session of Fifth Assembly is officially opened. I wish you fruitful deliberations and hope that next sittings will come back to Burundi. Long life to the East African community, long life to East African Legislative Assembly. God bless you. Asante sana.